Have you ever felt a love so deep it could curdle into something else entirely? That's where I was, standing outside my own home in the biting Chicago wind. The house I built with my own 2 hands, watching a shadow that wasn't mine move through the upstairs window. She thought I was in Seattle for a tech conference, but I never left the city. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel, tell us where you're from, and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. For 10 years, Sarah was my world. We met at a little coffee shop near Lincoln Park, and her laugh was the only sound I needed. We built a life, brick by brick, laugh by laugh. I was the loyal husband, the provider, the man who would have walked through fire for her. And she was the loving wife, or so I thought. The first crack appeared subtly. A late-night text she quickly hid. A new perfume she claimed a friend gifted her. She started talking about a new work friend, Mark. He's just so driven, she'd say, her eyes a little too bright. Soon Mark was a recurring character in our lives, a ghost at our dinner table. My business trips became more frequent, a necessity for my job. But during my last trip, the one before this fake Seattle excursion, her calls became shorter, her I love yous mechanical. I'd be in a hotel room thousands of miles away, feeling a chill that had nothing to do with the air conditioning. I'd look at our wedding photo on my phone and feel a profound sense of dread. When I came home from that trip, the house felt different. Colder. Sarah greeted me with a hug that felt like a formality. Later that week, I went to use our shared tablet and saw a message notification pop up from Mark. Last night was incredible. Can't stop thinking about you. My heart didn't just break. It detonated. The air left my lungs. The room spun. I sat there for what felt like an hour, staring at those words, rereading them until they burned into my memory. Humiliation is a quiet poison. It seeps into your bones. The next few days were a blur of forced smiles. I'd watch her laugh at something on her phone, and I'd wonder if it was a message from him. I'd hear her humming a new song, and I'd wonder if it was their song. They felt untouchable, wrapped in their bubble of deceit, while I was the fool playing his part. The turning point came one night when I overheard her on the phone, her voice a low whisper. Don't worry, he has no idea. He's too trusting. He'll be in Seattle for a whole week. The house will be ours. That was it. The love curdled. The loyal husband died, and someone else, a colder and more calculating, was born. I booked the flight to Seattle. I packed my bag, kissed her goodbye at the door, her hug lingering with the scent of his cologne from the night before. I'll miss you so much, she cooed, a perfect performance. I'll miss you too, I replied, and it was the truest lie I'd ever told. I would miss the man I was. I drove to O'Hare, checked my bag, and even went through security. Then I turned around, took a cab to a cheap motel near Midway, and my revenge began. I was no longer the heartbroken husband. I was a hunter. First, evidence. Using a software I'd written myself, I recovered every deleted text, every photo, every late-night call log from our shared cloud account. Hundreds of them, pictures of them in our bed. Messages mocking me. He's so predictable, one of hers read. Works so hard for us, he replied with a laughing emoji. It was a treasure trove of betrayal. Next, I hired a private investigator, a gruff ex-cop, who specialized in marital infidelity. He was worth every penny. He got me time-stamped photos of Mark's car parked outside my house every night, photos of them kissing on my porch, even footage of them at a fancy restaurant on Rush Street, celebrating, I later learned, the success of my business trip. The plan formed in my mind like a dark crystal. It wasn't just about exposing them, it was about dismantling them. I discovered Mark was a financial advisor, up for a major promotion at a prestigious firm on Wacker Drive, a firm with a very strict morality clause for its partners. I also found that Sarah had been using our joint savings account, my money, to buy him lavish gifts, a watch. A weekend trip, things she told me were girls' weekends. The final night of my trip arrived. I knew they were planning a big celebration. The pie confirmed it. A dinner party at my house, with some of their friends, to toast to their future. My future, apparently, was not included. I waited until they were all there. I could hear the music and laughter from my parked car down the street. It was time. I had created a simple, elegant website. The domain name was Mark's full name. On the homepage, a single, high-resolution photo of him and Sarah in my bed, taken from the recovered files. Below it, a gallery. Every text message, every photo from the pie, every receipt for the gifts she bought him. Then, I executed the final phase. I sent an anonymous scheduled email with a link to that website to the entire board of directors at Mark's firm, including the CEO. I sent another to Sarah's boss and her entire department. A third went to Mark's wife's yes, he was married to, a fact I'd uncovered that added another layer of sickness to it all. And a final one went to the dozen or so friends currently laughing in my living room. I walked up my own front path. The music was loud. I didn't knock. I used my key, stepped inside, and stood in the hallway. The laughter died one by one as phones began to buzz. A woman gasped. Someone dropped a glass, and then silence. Every eye turned to me. Sarah's face went from shock to confusion to pure, unadulterated terror. Mark looked like he'd seen a ghost. I didn't say a word. I just looked at Sarah, held her gaze, and let the silence scream for me. The guests scrambled out like rats from a sinking ship, avoiding my eyes. Soon, it was just the three of us. How could you? She whispered, tears streaming down her face. It was the only thing she could say. I have to be at O'Hare in 6 hours, I said calmly, my voice steady. My flight from Seattle is landing. I expect you and your things to be gone before I get back. I turned and walked out, leaving them in the ruins of the life I had built. The fallout was biblical. Mark was fired the next morning. His wife filed for divorce, using my website as Exhibit A. Sarah was let go from her job for conduct unbecoming. Her friends abandoned her. She was socially and financially destitute, a pariah. I filed for divorce the day I returned. She didn't fight it. She took nothing. Sometimes, late at night, I walk past that little coffee shop in Lincoln Park. The lights are warm, people are laughing inside, and for a moment, I remember the girl I fell in love with. Then the memory fades, and I feel nothing at all. The house is just a house now, quiet and empty. It's clean. The end.